Hey everyone, I am David Safransky, your host of Financial Revelations, the financial podcast about everything. And it's anything I want to talk about, which we're going to do today. On Twitter, you can follow me at SkiBucks1. You could send emails to us, Corey@epsf.com, especially if you have a question that you would like to have answered. It could be about anything. I wouldn't ask me about engine maintenance on your car. It's not my expertise, but certainly politics, money, investing, saving, spending, budgeting, all those things. Send us your questions. You can also call here, 1-800-344-2534. Use these resources. They're free. It's not going to cost you anything. So if you have a question, or a concern or something you'd like us to talk about, delve a little bit more into. A lot of people ask me about cryptocurrencies today. If you have a question about crypto or, what's safe, where to buy, there's no guarantees that anything is safe, of course, but there are safer ways to buy these things now. And it's one of the reasons why I have implemented a change of opinion on crypto, because it is not just the currency of drug dealers and despots around the world anymore. It's actually an investable asset, mainly because you can hold it safely in places. So a lot of people ask about the Amazon trips. We're taking an Amazon trip in March of 2026, and you can go or support it if you want to. About 99% of the money that you send actually goes to the trip. So we don't take a fee, or there's a small fee in transferring the money over to Brazil. That's the only fee that there is. We have no control over that. And you can go to nativosusa.org if you'd like to see more about the trip, or email us there. Specifically goes to the people that handle the trip. I am one of them. But you can go to that website. I would recommend emailing Melissa. You're going to get an answer way faster than any other way. But you can call here too about that. So, exciting news. The book, Sin of Retirement. The Sin of Retirement is coming out at the end of July. And you could go to the website. It's live right now, sinofretirement.com. sinofretirement.com, and you can pre-order the book. There's merch there. We're going to do a t-shirt with a map of Armandoville. It's going to be exciting. Mayor Phil, I'm going to have him at the first book signing. He's the mayor of Armandoville. We'll have our sashes on. And I have nowhere to wear my sash anymore because Moody Radio has changed and gone to a national format. And I'm not on Moody Radio for the first time in 20 years. It's kind of surreal, but life goes on. I've been around Fortune 500 companies, big ministries my whole life. And the only thing that's constant is change. That is always happening. And they made a change. So I want to give the new morning team there that it's a national morning show broadcast out of Chicago. Give them a chance. Listen to it. It's that team of people. They're very good. So I don't love the decision. I'll be honest with you. I think it hurts local ministries, but this is what they're doing. So let's get to the economic data that I want to talk about today, because things are changing. I know that there is still tariff talk, but the tariff talk is ending, and I had estimated that by the middle of June, we would be done with most of the tariff talk, and I'm holding to that prediction because a lot of the countries, the EU, the big countries are coming to us. We already have a deal with England. The EU is going to come to us with a deal. We're going to get the deal. Is it the deal that we wanted at the beginning? It might be. It might be close. But one thing's for sure, everybody's coming to the table. And I have to say that the negotiation tactic of implementing high tariffs on countries definitely worked. And it definitely had them come to us asking for a better deal. And those things are really good. There is going to be some tariff income to the United States. And people say, well, who pays those tariffs? Well, in some cases, it is the consumer. There's no doubt. But in some cases, it is the people sending the goods or services that are coming here, they're taking less of a profit. And you've heard a lot of big companies, Fortune 500 companies, this week and last week say, well, we're not going to raise costs. We're not going to raise prices in the face of these tariffs. Well, that tells you you're not paying them as a consumer. Now, are tariffs a good thing? From an economic standpoint, I would say no. They're not a good thing. They stifle innovation. They protect industries that don't deserve to be protected. You could look at the auto industry of the 1970s, and I was a kid in the 1970s, but I do remember cars rusting out as you were driving them off the lot. It would be not uncommon to see a car totally rusted out driving on the road, and that was because our auto industry the United States auto industry did not have to innovate. They just didn't. They were protected. So if you were a Japanese automaker like Honda, you paid a huge tariff, a huge cost to come here, so they didn't. Once those things were done, once we stopped protecting the auto industry, cars started lasting a lot longer. Competition came in. It forced domestic automakers to make a better automobile, which they do now in most cases. And in a lot of ways, they compete extremely well with foreign automakers. Now, it is true, like if you wanted a high performance car, if you wanted like a BMW M3, I'll use that example, or an Audi RS5, which I have one of those, but I also have a Ford F-150 pickup truck. I can tell you right now, there isn't a foreign automaker that competes with Ford on pickup trucks. Maybe Toyota in the bigger pickup trucks, the more like the heavier pickup trucks. They don't sell anywhere near the pickup trucks that Ford and GM sell here. And Ford and GM make a great pickup truck. They are great trucks. I love driving my F-150. I don't have it with me today, but I love driving. It is the most comfortable car I've ever driven. The technology in it is great. The nav screen is great. It's got heated and cooled seats. Foreign automakers cannot compete with Ford on an F-150. They just cannot do it. And so there's a lot of great competition. Well, when you tariff and you protect industries like the auto industry, what you get is a worse product over time because they don't have to innovate. You've taken the need to innovate out of the mix. And so I don't like tariffs. I don't like tariffs going. I don't like tariffs coming. I wish there were no tariffs at all, but that's not the case because other countries do tariff us dramatically. Now, let's say there were zero tariffs on any products. There's no tariffs. We live in a world with no tariffs. We would still have a trade deficit. We would, because we're the richest country in the world. We're the richest country that's ever been. When you say, well, all of our tennis shoes get produced in Vietnam and Malaysia and places like that, well, their standard of living is significantly lower than ours there. So even the wealthy people in those countries have a hard time buying our goods and services. It's the truth. I go to Brazil a lot. Brazil has a very small middle class, a very large lower socioeconomic class, and a pretty decent sized group of wealthy people. But there's not a very big middle class there. They're not going to be able to afford our goods and services there. They just can't. And so even with no tariffs, they're not. So tariffs are not going to solve the issue that politics wants to solve right now. They will make a slightly fairer playing field, that's true. But so we're going to see that tariff talk. It's going to be gone by the end of June, I'm pretty sure. And maybe we'll be bickering with China back and forth. And China's going to play a little bit more hardball with us. They don't honor their deals anyway. You can't trust a communist. The only good communist is a dead communist. You cannot trust communists. Look at Russia right now negotiating with Ukraine. The minute negotiations for peace started, Russia did the biggest bombing in Ukraine to date in the war, killing civilians. And this war expansion is probably the number one economic concern that I have right now, because if that war expands into other parts of Europe, it's going to be economically troublesome. I'm telling you right now. Not only the socioeconomic impacts of it, but the people impacts are going to be huge. And you see countries like Norway and Sweden, which are NATO countries, they're at risk. So much so that the United States is moving defense mechanisms to those areas right now. They're taking anti-drone technology out of Ukraine, and they're moving it to protect us in places like Norway, Sweden, and other areas, because we are concerned that after the Ukraine incursion deep into Russia to destroy bombers with $1,000 drones, they destroyed a third of the Russian Air Force with $1,000 drones. We're afraid that that's going to happen, so we're moving stuff. Will there be peace? I don't know. It doesn't look like it right now. It does not look like it, and that is concerning for me. Now, what I've always told people is, look, if there's a time where I think that you need to get out of the market, I'm going to tell you that. I love the market. It's up 81% of the time. The best thing to do long-term if you want to make money is buy the market and hold on to it. Buy good companies, hold on to them over long periods of time. When there's blood in the streets economically from the markets, when the markets are down or the situation's chaotic like it was earlier this year, buy that market. But if you need to come out, I'm going to tell you. So markets are responding fairly well right now. Inflation is coming down, and it's going to come down even lower because what's going to happen is we're going to get lower price for fuel. Now, oil and gas up a little bit in the last week, but that's going to be short-lived. You're going to see the tail that wags the dog is oil prices. And if you bring energy prices down, inflation's going to plummet. And what we really want is somewhere sub or right around 2% inflation. That's what we've accepted. I like it sub 2% because housing is not going to fall victim. Housing is going to increase in price because we don't have enough housing right now. And I think that is a decades-long problem. It's going to take decades to fix it because you can't build enough houses in 1 year. Even though our population is growing slowly, it is still expanding. So that means you need more housing every year. And I think one of the number one things that is affecting world economics right now, not just the war in Ukraine, that is a big one, it's the falling birth rates. You look across Europe, you look across every industrialized nation except for the United States, birth rates are falling, they're negative. That is a real problem. You go to China, you look at China's population map right now, they are in huge trouble in China because their population looks like an upside down triangle with the point on the bottom. It's a balloon of older people that they're going to have to take care of, and they're not going to be able to replace workers. Now they're trying to work to solve the problem in China, but it's a 30-year solution. We don't want that problem here. We have to grow our population. It's one of the reasons why I love these Ukrainian churches that went with us. You go to church in a Ukrainian church, you're going to hear a lot of crying babies, and I'm telling you, it's music to your ears. Everybody has like 5 kids, 6 kids. One of the pastors that I know in the Ukrainian church has 8 kids. I'm like, you are personally doing your part to repopulate the United States right now. It is a problem. I'm telling you, it's a problem. We've been convinced that you got to have 2 working spouses and no kids. That's a lie. That's a lie from the left. We need kids. We need more of them. I've also been made aware that I've worn this shirt for the last 3 podcasts, so I'm going to make sure. I have a rotation of shirts. I get stuck in a rut sometimes, so I'm sorry about that. If you wanted to see a wider array of my wardrobe, you were going to see it. I'm going to wear a different shirt next week. Remember, the book's coming out. I want you to have this book. It is spiritual in nature because it talks about the Bible and our purpose and why we're here, but you don't need to be necessarily a spiritual person to benefit from it. I want to make sure that non-believers could read this book too and maybe ask questions about, well, what is my purpose? You know, when I see this a lot when people get to retirement, and we work with a wide variety of people. So these young athletes that we have, you know, if you're a successful football player and you have a successful career, you play for a long time, you're going to retire at 35. What now? Well, that question gets asked by people at 55, at 65, at 75. What now? What now? And this is a way to look at that what now question and derive a purpose for your life. What was your purpose for life? Is it just to work? Is it just to work and make money and put stuff in a 401k and then hopefully have a night? No, that is not our purpose. It is one of the things that we do while we figure out our purpose, while we walk out our purpose. And that's what the book is really about. And I want you to have it. I want you to read it. If we get enough interest, I'll do a book signing because Mayor Phil will have to be there. I am David Safransky, a real American, a true red-blooded gun-owning patriot, and the voice you can trust.